Hi, welcome to episode 19 of Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS. And the long-awaited episode 19, the one in which we are using the auxiliary control room, K-9, and a few other spare parts from Chameleon patched in to get a recording done. And a lot of references thrown in there that time, huh? I should really have a couple of Scottish stouts before we start all the time. There's some limoncello and beer in the TARDIS fridge if you want.
Oh, I want some.
Well, then I guess I can't really send it through Skype to you. So next time I can have some.
Okay.
I might water it down a little bit. It's a little bit strong, but I thought it generally turned out okay. Anyways, so we do have some news on the Doctor Who special front. I read it 75 minutes long.
Yep. Which,
in my opinion, is what every episode should be. But I'm happy with that. 75 minutes should work out. I think they'll pack plenty in it. You have 3 doctors, 2 assistants, and a partridge in a pear tree. Well, you really do. 3 doctors, 2. Yeah. Nicole, you said the name of it is
Day of the Doctor.
Day of the Doctor. It's apparently the direct sequel to Day of the Daleks. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know what the plot is.
Name of the Doctor. He's just going with
blank
of the Doctor.
If Series 8, every episode is something of the Doctor, I might be a little agitated by that. But
after the Christmas special, he won't be able to do the 11 joke anymore.
Right, because you couldn't just as easily put 12 in place of every 11.
Well, it'll be a change.
That's true. I'm actually looking forward to seeing the 12th Doctor,
Peter
Capaldi. I actually am very excited about that. I'm more excited about that than I was about Matt Smith, to be honest. And more excited than when I went to David Tennant. I mean, I didn't know much of Tennant's work. I knew he was on Casanova, I think it was. I didn't know Matt Smith at all. I think I remember him from that one Secret Diary of a Call Girl episode where he was a stalker, of Billie Piper's character. But I was weary about him. And I didn't know Peter Capaldi's work, other than the bit things I've seen of it, and then the highlights I watched on YouTube of him just cussing up a storm. But even without the swearing, the intensity he looks like he could bring is insane. I'm kind of excited to see where they go with him, So
yeah, I wanted an older Doctor.
Yeah.
So
I'm tired of I'm tired of all the companions giving puppy dog eyes and falling for the Doctor and.
I didn't think it would happen, though. I was like, well, they're never going to have an older Doctor again. Because they've got to have a young, cute Doctor.
Well, how young can you go? He'd be a fetus.
But he could have stayed, in his 20s,
Right, and he could have
30s,
changed the theme music to Forever Young by whatever that band in the 80s was.
It was Rod Stewart.
No, there was an 80s song of it, too. There was Rod Stewart. You're right, that's true. It might have been... there were 2 different songs, though. But
okay.
But you are correct. Ding, 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 ding. You win a trip in the TARDIS.
Also,
if I get this... I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll let you...
We also have the Blu-ray release date. And the DVD is going to come out on Monday, December 2nd.
That's right. And also, for those of you that don't know, the entire new series, from Eccleston all the way up to... I believe it'll be this Christmas special. No. From Eccleston all the way up to... the finale of season 7, I believe it is being released all on Blu-ray, one big box set with a sonic screwdriver remote control in it for a god awful amount of money. Because take the screwdriver out of it, and I'd probably consider it. But they are releasing that, so if you don't have them and you want them in Blu-ray HD, there's going to be a lot of extras, a lot of feature stuff on it. And quite honestly, the screwdriver is kind of neat. It's universal. Volume up, down, channel. Granted, you have to control it kind of like Harry Potter's wand, which, But, so that's coming out.
When did that happen?
I read about it about 2 weeks ago, since we've been gone for 3 months. The thing is, there just hasn't been a whole lot going on. Oh, they started filming the Christmas special.
Yeah.
There's some pictures from set that you could find on DoctorWhoNews.org? .com? If you type .com, it goes to the right one. But they have some images, and... I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I look forward to the Peter Capaldi regen. I think that'll be good.
Matt Smith's wig looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, because he shaved his head for the movie he was in here.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what that movie's about that he's in here. I'm not sure I care either, to be honest. I mean, we'll see what happens, how successful it is. What were you saying about Peter Davison before we started recording? Because I really like Peter Davison. He's such a great guy.
Peter Davison confirms 50th anniversary celebration in Baldwin. We don't know what it is.
Well, you got to remember though, there's a Big Finish audio that has all the doctors. And he's in that, and McCoy's in that, and Baker's in that, and both Bakers, and McGann, and I'm sure they have people playing the first three, right? I'm assuming, and I think Tennant's in it. I think. I don't know if it's only the classic Doctors or if the new ones are in it. But I know all the old guys are in that, so it could be that. It would be great to see Peter Davison in that. And actually, they show the cover of Doctor Who magazine, either this month or next month, shows them all sitting all photoshopped together. But really, McGann does not look bad. He really could still play the role. Davison could still do it.
I think
and McCoy looks more like somebody said he looks more like the Doctor the older he gets. And he kind of still has that look. He still looks like him. I mean, Tom Baker, if you dyed his hair,
well, also he has,
did some work on the wrinkles,
and
he had the scar. I mean, you could probably pull it off, but I'm sure they did.
Colin Baker, though, it would take a miracle.
Yeah, saying stuff like that is why I never heard back from the convention. Just so you know. No, I'm kidding.
Nothing against him. He said himself.
Yeah, no, he said himself. He's like, "There's no way in hell."
I'm agreeing with the man. He doesn't look the same, so... No,
not at all. And he knows it,
Yeah.
He seems like a very nice guy, too. I'd love to meet all of them and, chat a little.
I think I remember reading about Peter Davison that he didn't say specifically he was in the special. But then people were, theorizing, well, maybe it's, one of the little Moffat pre-episode release clips.
I still think he could have just used their voices.
And he did mention, though... I mean,
why not?
I read that in I think, because I read that online, that he was talking about that, and it said also that he mentioned something about getting, a copy of the script with his name embossed on it or something, and that was well, why would he be getting a copy of a script if he wasn't...
We thank you for your contributions throughout the last 50 years. Here's a script you're not in.
Yeah. So it seemed like maybe he might be doing something.
He could have been, yeah.
But yeah, it could be anything because they've got... Maybe he shows up in an adventure in space and time, playing someone else.
Adventure in space? Oh, yeah. I mean, he could. They all could do something like that. That's true. I mean, but, we'll see what happens.
He didn't say what he was in, just that he did something.
I am kind of excited for the 50th. I mean, but... I hate saying it. The Peter Capaldi announcement really got me looking past it already. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, all right, Matt Smith's gone. Let's get on with this guy. And it's like, oh, wait, we have 2 episodes with him left. Oh, yeah. And Clara's sticking around, which I think is great. There are people that, for some reason, find her character annoying, but like characters like Rose, who the first series and half of the second series, okay. Hey, even most of the second series, okay. But when they brought her back, she just seemed whiny and preachy. It's like, really? You think that's better than Clara? Okay, gotcha. I mean, teach their own. Anything else? Oh, big news for Chicago TARDIS fans. I'm going to try getting this up before Tuesday night because Chicago TARDIS this year is only allowing 2,000 people as opposed to 2,800 or 2,700 last year. And they are cutting off single-day tickets for Saturday on Tuesday night. So if you haven't gotten them yet, I'd say get them. I think the 3 or 4 day ones are all gone already. So yeah, that's a Chicago TARDIS update. I mean, they have a great lineup of people, which brings us to what we're going to talk about today. Because there hasn't been a whole lot going on, and I don't think any of us really watched much. I mean, Joanna, did you watch the 8th Doctor movie? 9th Doctor?
I have not.
No? Okay, so that's out.
I haven't. I'm still trying to catch up on everything from my trip, so...
Oh, that's right. You were in Alaska.
I was on a trip, yes.
Yeah.
I highly recommend going. It's beautiful.
It was?
Peaceful. Oh, gosh. It was just insane. So,
Cool.
if anyone goes, I recommend going.
Cool. You make any friends?
No one my age.
I know that feeling. So, since there's really not much else to talk about,
I'm surprised you didn't want to devote the whole podcast to discussing the Eighth Doctor's movie, because
I haven't seen it since it aired. I remember he's on a motorcycle. I remember the TARDIS looked... Ooh, shoot. I remember the TARDIS actually looked pretty cool. I thought, you know... I think it was kind of steampunky, you know, kind of gothy and kind of like... cyberpunk, almost, which I think was ahead of its time. I think it's really neat. But I don't remember much else about... I remember Sylvester McCoy gets shot in New York City.
San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco, yeah, because there's a lot of gang shootings in San Fran.
Yes, Asian gangs apparently roam the street.
But, yeah, it's like, San Fran's like one of the nicest cities you could visit. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen there. But,
well, they have no personality, the Asian gangs.
No, they're
just
like two-dimensional,
running around with guns. He opens the door, they just shoot him. Because they don't know what's going on. And then they run away. And I'm like, really? You couldn't work any...
But anyways, so no, I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it in years. I have it. I just
thought that was a stupid way to send off Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah.
It was like...
The only Doctor ever to get gunned down.
Thankfully.
I mean, the Daleks almost got Tennant the one episode. Like a little baby spider? Anyways. So what I figured we'd do, since we're leading up to the 50th, there's not a lot going on, there's not going to be any new episodes till then, is let's give a quick rundown of the Doctors leading up into Matt Smith. Now, I know, Joanna, you haven't seen much of William Hartnell's first Doctor.
But I do like him a lot.
From what you've seen. You saw...
Aztecs.
Which is not a bad story. It's very good.
No, it wasn't.
And since Nicole's a little better at explaining stuff, Nicole, why don't you tell us? Give us a brief history of the first Doctor. That you know.
Ooh, okay. Well, he starts out and he's not even the hero, which is interesting. He's just the cranky, mean old man.
He's kind of a villain at times.
He goes along with in the Daleks, he wants to just leave Barbara, like. Leave her, let's go. And I'm like, that would so not happen now. Yeah. But they have to like trick him all the time into like staying or helping. He's just like, everywhere they land, they meet people and he's just like, I don't care about these people.
He was very conniving also.
He was much more, and they really played up in the beginning the like frail old man aspect. He's always like, oh, the radiation is really affecting him. He's very weak now. And I'm like...
Which was kind of a departure from other characters Hartnell played. Hartnell played a lot of army kind of characters and stuff like that. A lot of tough guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he was, the frail... But then, kind of, I think, when Ian was leaving, then Ian couldn't be the hero anymore. So the Doctor had to finally step up, even though he got Stephen.
I was going to say, Stephen came in, and then after Stephen you had... I mean, realistically,
but he's in charge with Stephen. Like, when he first traveled with Barbara and Ian was in charge. Yeah. He's like, we're doing this, we're going here, I'm going to rescue these people, I'm going to go do this. And the Doctor's just like, do we have to, kind of?
That's true. Like, aww.
When Stephen comes
the Doctor's
along,
like, Matt locks on in like 10 minutes.
When Stephen comes along, he's like, he's in charge, and Stephen is like his one to go off and fight and do all the heavy lifting.
And he went through a lot of... I mean, for being... What was it? Three seasons?
Well, I think they changed producers so many times. Yeah, 3 and then...
Yeah, 3, 1963 to 66. And you had Susan Foreman, Barbara Wright, Ian Chesterton, Vicky, Steven Tyler, Katrina, Sarah Kingdom, Dodo Chaplay, Polly, and Ben Jackson. Polly was great because you never knew Polly's last name.
Yeah.
They never once... And there was some odd, just odd plot, things happening. Like when Dodo leaves.
Oh, yeah.
She's in the first 2 or 3 parts of the War Machines, and then she's gone.
Well, she was brainwashed. Doctor got her back, and then she had to go rest.
She went to rest and never came back. And
they brought a message back
Polly,
from her.
Yeah, oh, not Polly. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was Polly
like,
and,
yeah. Dodo says she's going to stay.
Yeah.
It's like, Dodo says she's going to stay.
Because she entrusted a woman she met once with, Yeah, he was cranky, and he was very conniving, and never really told the truth to them about what they were doing. It was kind of like working for the CIA or the Soviet Union, I would think.
Well, he had no control, too. He didn't know where they were going back then.
Yeah, but back then it wasn't because of... It was just because back then the TARDIS was more of a machine, too. Like, it's funny because there's the throwaway line where Ian says it feels alive, but ultimately the TARDIS was more machine and less organic, which is kind of how it is with Matt Smith now. It looks more machine, less organic again. But, I mean... the Doctor didn't talk to the TARDIS the way, Tom Baker did, or...
There still, though, was the episode where the TARDIS was, like, warning them, the little two-parter, Edge of Destruction, so it had kind of a weird sentience, but no, he...
I mean, you would have just thought it was an AI. You didn't think it was, like, like, I guess, you thought it was an artificial intelligence, not like an organic intelligence like us,
Mm. But yeah, the Doctor had no control, so that was always... And he loved to pretend he had control, which I loved.
What? This isn't Earth? I intended to go here.
He's always like, I have brought you to Earth. I know I have. And then it's like, well, yes, but this doesn't look like England. I'm sure it's England. Like, go. Like, he's always pretending that he really...
See, it's like, England in 1592.
And it's like, no, we're in... France in 1797. Yeah. It's like...
And those Huguenots are getting killed.
It's like, we're not close, but...
A lot of those stories back then, I mean, it's funny, it was a show that was supposed to be more historic in a sense, and more educational. And
Ian, like, explains, like, condensation and stuff. He'll, like, go on about, well, condensation forms, and I'm like...
It was supposed to be educational, especially for kids, but a lot of the stories were not, like the Huguenots one was
Massacre.
The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Night, Eve, and it's not a really kid-friendly story. And like the woman that's with them, last name Chaplay, like he lets them all die.
Yeah.
I mean, Hartnell's doctor was like, no, we cannot do this. It's a set point in time, done and done. And basically, I think he tricks Stephen to leave even. And takes off and lets all these people that he befriended just get massacred. It's like, wow, you would never, ever see that today.
Well, and people were dying right and left in Dalek's master plan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was way more depth in that in his, too. So, Joanna, you watched the Aztecs. What were your impressions of Hartnell as a new Who fan, your first time watching him?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to wrap my mind around it, trying to remember when I first saw him. But I liked him because he was so different from what I know of the Doctor, or whom I know the Doctor is. So it was kind of fun seeing someone completely different who's the Doctor.
I will say, in a sense, it almost amazes me that the show stayed on the air. I mean, it wasn't like... It was good.
We had Dalek Mania.
I think the Daleks are what kept it on the air. I think when they brought the Daleks in, and that episode aired, what was that, the second?
Yeah, second episode.
When that episode aired, I watched that episode to this day, and to me, it's as good as almost any of the new ones. It really... It's black and white, so a lot of special effects flaws are hidden.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a good story.
The thing is, but these storylines are better.
Well,
because
people
it's
had the attention span back then, though, too.
Which is sad. No. Ooh, shiny.
A lot of them could have been a little bit
shiny.
shorter.
Oh, no, they had some episodes that were way too long. The War Games with Troughton was like 16 or 14 episodes or something.
I think that one's 10.
It was still obnoxiously long.
Dalek's Master Plan is 12.
Yeah, okay, that's the one I was thinking. 12, yeah, it's like...
Well, even the first Dalek
all
story.
those old ones, though, you didn't see the bad guys until 2 episodes in. You had character development. You felt like you were part of the cast going, wow, all this weird stuff's happening. I wonder what's going on. You didn't see it from the other side so much as you do now. You know, like now it's like, oh, the Dalek is right in the title of this episode. And immediately, first thing you hear, well, we know who's here, you know. Back then, I mean, you had 2 episodes before they made it to the city where Barbara was the first companion ever to see a Dalek.
Even before the Doctor.
Yeah, before he even knew what they were. And all you saw was the eye stalk going towards her, you know. And you had to wait till the next week to see what it was. And that was, I think, the second episode in already at that point. End of the first or second, something like that.
Of the first.
But it was a while in. Yeah.
But that one had that. There's that one episode where they're like, Ian and Barbara and the Thals are trying to sneak into the city, and they're just jumping from one side of the cape to the other. I'm like, really? Do we need to see in like real time their progress? And they jump, and then they can't make it, and it's like, oh, this was really for nothing. It's like, and then one guy falls, but it's like
he was wearing a red shirt.
It was like, I think we could have done without this episode. We could have squeezed that in. Just go, oh, they're going to go into the city. Show like a minute of them making progress.
Show the part where the guy falls. And done and done.
But instead, each one jumps over. It's like in real time. I'm like, yeah, sometimes you just patted them.
Yeah. Now, how much more like the first Doctor would you like to see Peter Capaldi? Because a lot of people are like, oh, he's older. He paid homage to him coming out, grabbing his jacket. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to see the first Doctor. I want to see Peter Capaldi's Doctor.
I'd rather see him
because people are like, I want to see
Pertwee.
it just like, oh, I'd love to see that again. I mean, you know what? I think that's why we never got a email back from those people, because I am such a proponent of Pertwee. Screw you. He's awesome. He was awesome.
I've never argued.
You know what? Because it's just because you know what, his episodes in a sense were more realistic. You try to get out of it by negotiating. You try to get out of it by using your mind. And if that doesn't work, a judo chop to the neck will. Kind of the way life works.
Yeah, I think so.
If you're at a bar and you bump into somebody and you spill their drink and you say, hey, let me buy you a new one, and they go, well, I'm going to kick your butt, and you say, come on, let me get you another drink, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean... At some point, if that person's not going to go for it, well, you know what? You did your best, now hit them and run. Just saying. Like the one episode where Pertwee's just taking, like, he takes on like a whole security force at like a nuclear base or something, and he's just flipping them over and stuff. It was great. How about you, Joanna? I mean, how much would you want to see Capaldi do anything that the first Doctor did? I mean, I want to see him be completely himself, but
I'm with you on being completely himself, because it's his Doctor. It's not the first Doctor. It's not Matt Smith. It's not David Tennant. It's not Pertwee. It's not Troughton.
It should be Pertwee.
Peter Capaldi's Doctor. So it should be different. If it isn't different, then people aren't going to like it.
But you know something? The actors playing the Doctor based them off of the Doctors they watched, I think, to a point. Mm-hmm. I think subconsciously they if you grew up watching Tom Baker, that's your Doctor. You're gonna
I think David Tennant's Doctor took a lot from Peter Davison.
Yeah, and Matt Smith was Troughton more so than anybody else, he said. Mm-hmm. Capaldi grew up watching Hartnell and Troughton and Pertwee. You know, so
there's going to be some influences.
I just wonder what it's going to be. It's going to be an odd mix, I think.
I'd just like to see him, and I know I said this before, but I would kind of like to see him be. I mean, I don't want him to like go overboard, but I'd like to see him a little more actiony.
I would
because
too.
People like expect him because he's older to be.
Yeah.
Like less, so I would kind of like to see them not go with. Because he's not really older.
No, he's only like 50. I mean, he's not really that old a person. Who was like, oh, I picked this old guy. I'm like, he's like 52.
He's like middle-aged.
He's what?
He's like middle-aged almost, or just...
Same age
No, I'm middle-aged. Well, in 4 years, I'll be middle-aged.
He's the same age, though, as
He's
Hartnell.
a little older. Yeah.
And I love that. I'm like, they...
And he looks way younger than Hartnell did. Hartnell looked like he was on his deathbed. I mean, from episode 1.
But Yeah, I would just like to see him. That's what I would like to see him take from Pertwee, a little more like the physicalness,
Yeah.
just so he's not like. I mean, I don't want to see him like always going around and just hitting people or something for no. I don't want him to become violent.
He punches Davros.
I just would like to see him not, because everyone expects
he has the
him
unstable
to,
mind of Colin Baker's Doctor with the physicality of John Pertwee. You know what, though? Pertwee was a big dude, too. I didn't know it, but Pertwee was like 6-something. He was a big guy. They said that when they that's why one of the reasons they didn't really show like a regeneration between him and Troughton, because there was no way they were going to fit. I mean, they tried fitting him in the clothes when he comes stumbling out, and it's like the pants are like shorts. So, I mean, but the first Doctor, I mean, I guess if you had to sum him up, what would you say about him?
He was. I would say that he really softened during his time. Not that he ever became like cuddly, but he
went from despising everybody to accepting
by
them.
the end he like cared about people, and you saw like the Doctor that you have today. I think you see that start with him.
Yeah,
like,
he never cared about any of them.
The beginning,
except for
you're like,
Susan.
who is this person?
Well, not Susan. Yeah, Susan.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Susan. Yeah.
Even Susan, though, he was like,
Oh, here, I'm
He
locking you out of the
wasn't
TARDIS so you can stay with this guy in a destroyed future. Have
oh,
fun.
I hate that exit for her.
Have fun in the dystopian Earth that we've created.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
But no, he really, I think he kind of softened by the end. But he was always, but he really was more definitely a Doctor that relied on being,
Cunning.
yeah, and being the smartest guy in the room and tricking people and manipulating people, and
Yeah, he was very calculated and very cold in
and
what
he
he
out
did.
to his male companions. It was
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to go do this now. Stephen, you go over there.
I'm going to sit here in my rocking chair with this sweet tea. Steven, if you would go
Although I would
invade
still say
infiltrate the Daleks' fortress.
I still say that is wrong. In the 5 Doctors, that Hartnell's Doctor would have clobbered Tegan within.
I don't know. Some of his assistants weren't all there either.
He would not have put up with her, though. Dodo
Well, you
never
gotta
challenged
remember,
him. She was
though,
just-
you said yourself, he mellowed as he went on.
I still think Tegan would have been too much for him. He wouldn't have gone, oh, come with me. Let's go do this. He would have been like, who is this person?
But she wasn't quite as aggressive with him as she was in a lot of other normal episodes.
But
I think there was something that those two characters had between them, in a sense. You know what I mean? I think she was crotchety younger, and he was a crotchety old man. So they had that. They were both cranky and not wanting to be there. You know, and that I think may have been why they're like, all right, let's just go get this done.
But yeah, he was. That was. I would say, yeah, he was definitely a Doctor that relied more on tricks, and although he does sometimes, like in Reign of Terror, he just whacks a guy over the head with the shovel to get away. I think, like, oh, every now and then he will break out the.
He would do something like that without any consciousness or guilt or anything. He would have no problem sending people to their death. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it did not faze him one bit.
He also picked a lot of fights.
That Steven or somebody else would have to finish.
He would, if he didn't agree, he was always just like, no. And you're like, just walk on. You're trying to escape. Why are you arguing with this guy? But no. He knew. If he was right, you were going to know it.
Oh, and it wasn't even that. He was the Time Lord. Well, they weren't called that.
Yeah.
They weren't called that yet, but you knew he was something not of, Earth.
Just didn't know what at that point.
So I like him, though, and Joanna likes him.
Yeah.
You should watch a couple other ones. You really should watch the Dalek one, the first one. It's really good.
What's the name of it?
The Daleks. Seriously, it's like the second episode's called. It's just called the Daleks. And actually, and to be completely honest, the first episode's not horrible. I mean, there's a lot of good in it. I mean, it does get a little dull because they go back to 40,000 BC or whatever it is. But I mean, even that's not bad. I mean, that whole first series is not horrible to watch. The first year of it, I don't think Marco Polo. I have a reconstruction of, and I can only imagine that Marco Polo was probably not much more exciting, anyway, based off the audio from it. and it was really long too. But the Daleks was pretty good. The Dalek invasion of Earth, right?
Yeah,
was good. His frail body finally gives up against the Cybermen.
10th
Planet, which again, not a bad episode.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he regenerates into our next Doctor we'll talk about tonight, and our last one for this episode, the Cosmic Hobo himself. The Doctor that when I looked at, I said, "What's Mo Howard doing as Doctor Who?"
The Beatles haircut.
At the Beatles haircut, Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor, who had the longest running assistant ever.
Mm-hmm.
And all his episodes are almost gone. Jamie McCrimmon, who we picked up in the second episode and stayed with him the whole run. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of fun, and Troughton made it not more physical to me, but he made it more exciting. I think with Troughton is where you really, you know how they say 50 years of running? No, it's 47 years, because Troughton was the guy that, like, he was able to run, first off. I mean, I don't know if Hartnell really could. I mean, he was not in great shape. But he was, to me, he was more comedic. He cared for people. But he was almost as conniving and almost as manipulative still.
But he didn't like people to know that.
No, he didn't. Oh, Hartnell wanted
to clown, so people underestimated him. Hartnell just wanted you to know, I am the smartest person in this room.
Yeah.
Troughton was like, I don't want you to know that. I just want to surprise you.
His clothing did not say he was the smartest person in the room. Didn't he do little magic tricks here and there even? Or he used to do all kinds of weird little things. His recorder, that's what it was. He would play the recorder. I mean, he was really clown-like. And he looked like
in the beginning, he was obsessed with hats.
You know, it wasn't called a regeneration either. It was called a renewal originally. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was interesting, too. Whichever guy came up with the idea to just do that is probably the smartest man ever in show business, and I feel bad that he did not make millions, because he really should have. It was a brilliant
decision, though.
Oh, bold, and turned out to be brilliant.
They could have gone like, okay, he can change, but we'll just get some other older guy, vaguely similar, to play it the same way. It was like, no, we're going to cast someone who is the exact opposite of William Hartnell.
Yeah, there was a little bit of turmoil, I think, at the end of Hartnell's year or career or time there. I don't think anything major, but I'm sure there was some, issues. I mean, William was forgetting lines. I mean, he just, for the time, his age was old. Where now, like we said with Peter Capaldi, 52 years old or whatever he is nothing. 55? Whatever it is nothing. 55. I mean, Peter Capaldi could, do everything still,
Oh, I hate that when they start going about, he's so old, and I've seen things like, he won't be able to handle this. I'm like,
Bruce Willis is like 66 and still makes Die Hard movies.
But I don't think they would have cast him if they thought the 65. Schedule would...
No, he'll be fine. When Hartnell was shooting it, they were shooting year-round almost.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, here's your 10 episodes, see you in 8 months. No, it was, here's your 4 amazingly long episodes, and we'll see you next month.
And maybe you got, 2 weeks off during filming, and they just disappear.
Yeah.
Which is always, there's always some excuse, we're going to keep Barbara prisoner up here on the ship, you guys go down. It's like, must be her vacation time.
Yeah. So Troughton's first appearance was actually in the 10th Planet. They didn't credit him yet, but that's when the renewal occurred. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember much about what the companions thought when they first saw him, though. I know they...
I think they were confused.
It's been a while. Yeah.
But they accepted it fairly.
And they never really...
They never weird, though.
Well, what was funny was some people say they never explained the relationship between the second Doctor and first, but what's there to explain? It's him, but all the memories are there and all the knowledge. He just has a different personality and a different body. And I don't understand why people got confused with that. But I guess back then it was, revolutionary. I mean, we say that in hindsight, looking back, going, we know about this. Mm-hmm. Also, I want to say in Troughton's era, a lot of what we know as of Doctor Who was laid out. The Time Lords were mentioned. We find out he was one.
He got his sonic screwdriver.
He got the sonic screwdriver. We find out that...
which he almost never uses.
Yeah, that's right. We find out a lot of neat little things about the society and the world he's from. That stuff has been built on, ever since. Now, Joanna, did you see a Troughton episode?
I don't remember.
I thought you saw Tomb of the Super Cybermen, right?
I think I did, but it's been since February.
Okay. Good episode. I think the Cybermen are creepier in there. I found out why you could see their lips. You know why? Because they wanted them to still seem human. That's why they did it. They deliberately did it so you'd see that they were augmented humans still, not just robots. Which, when I read it, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. That okay, I get it now.
Oh, I love Tomb of the Cybermen, even though the plot makes no sense.
They never really say why the Cybermen are there.
They buried themselves in this tomb so that somebody clever would uncover them, and then they could
Was that what it was?
take over the
Ice.
They
wanted to retake over Hoth. I mean, the ice planet.
It was weird because I'm like, I'm not sure this is a genius plan. Bury ourselves in a tomb.
But really, that's been kind of the Cybermen. Well, yeah, but my understanding is the Cybermen episodes aren't in the order in which the events occur in time.
Yeah.
Because there's subtle hints throughout the other episodes of, Tom Baker tells them there's none of them left. They're floating around in a tin rust bucket, whatever. And allegedly, people are saying that story should take place before Tomb of the Cybermen. Because if you watch as Doctor Who progressed, the Cybermen became weaker and weaker and weaker. Which means that at some point they would have buried themselves and done that, when people forgot about them, essentially, is what it seems like. Which does make sense. It does seem that way. I don't know if that's really was intended that way, but,
But yeah, it's not the biggest, logic
No.
in that episode. Sometimes you go okay, although I know this was Hartnell, but that was equally absurd, I think, in the Dalek invasion of Earth. The Daleks wanted to drill to the center of the Earth and then pilot it like a spaceship.
People always forget that there's magma there.
I'm like, that's a pretty bizarre thing to want to do as well. I'm not exactly sure what made the Daleks go, we don't want a spaceship. We want to use the Earth like a spaceship.
Dinosaurs on a spaceship. It's kind of a planet. Yeah, that was kind of weird. But so, tell us a little bit about Troughton.
Well, we kind of covered. Obviously, more comical.
Well, let's do it on your take more than my take.
Well, yeah, much more comedic, much more of a people person than Hartnell.
True.
Because he enjoyed people, it seemed like. Wanted to talk to people, didn't run away from them.
He liked the attention, I think is what it was. He liked amusing people.
Yeah, he
and surprising people.
And he was eccentric. Started out with a bizarre love of hats that kind of disappeared.
True.
His recorder disappeared too, thankfully.
Until the Three Doctors.
Yeah. When all of a sudden
when they find
it's
it,
the most important thing to him in the world. I'm like, you didn't use it for 2 years. But I think of, it's funny because I was just saying the other day, if I were going to travel with a doctor, hypothetically here, I think I would want to travel with Troughton. He would be fun. And he cared about people.
You know
unlike
what?
Everyone else who
That's
I feel
true.
like the other doctors would be like, okay, it's too bad, you died, whatever.
Wah, wah.
Troughton cared a little more, I think, about...
You know what doctor I think had a lot of Troughton in his character was Sylvester McCoy's.
Yeah, he had
there were a
some
lot of
the
aspects of how
clowning,
McCoy played it that were... He was very clowning, very whatever, but also very manipulative again, where Davison wasn't like that, and Colin Baker wasn't really like that. And
No.
Tom Baker had his moments.
Yeah, Tom Baker had a little bit of that.
But, over the 8 years he was in, we'll talk about him later,
Yeah.
but, his doctors just changed big time. But McCoy's...
Pertwee was very direct, usually.
Yeah, no. Pertwee was like, why are you listening to me? Because I'm basically God. There was no messing with Pertwee. It was like, I'm a Time Lord. That makes me higher than you. But I think there was one other trait that McCoy's doctor and Troughton both shared was they both had a sinister side that you'd see once in a while. As much fun as Troughton was, there were times when he had no problem pulling the plug on somebody. You know, I mean, again.
Yeah, he was. Well, I mean, he always, that was his thing. Like, it always seemed to me, the approach was he wanted people to, like, underestimate him. He came across like a clown, pretended he had no idea what was going on.
And once they were in his trap, he sprung it.
And then it was like, or he just did the whole thing and, like, never let on that he knew. Like, it would be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just try something. I'm going to run over here and wave my arms around and do something. And then it'd be like, oh, look, it worked.
Or if it was to disrupt something, be like, oh my God, I don't know what happened.
Yes, that was...
He was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, it's sad that so many of his episodes have gone missing. And there was great chemistry between him and Jamie.
Yeah.
He had some great assistants, actually. Some of my favorite assistants came out of his. There was Jamie, there was Zoe. Zoe was great because, you know, in the 60s there were never really a lot of strong female characters, intelligent female characters on TV. I mean, you didn't really see a whole lot. Zoe was a math genius who at times would rival... Yeah, well, much more pleasing to look at. Who at times would rival the Doctor and tell him he was wrong. I mean, you know, and even Barbara had her moments like that too, you know. Mm-hmm. But I think Zoe was, you know, hey, look, this girl's a math genius. And it's a time period when it was, oh, women can't be engineers. Women aren't good at math. You know, that kind of condescending crap was going on. Mm-hmm. So it's like, here's this young girl who's, you know. And then, I mean, you had... Actually, he didn't even have that many. He had what?
Ben and Polly.
He had Ben and Polly,
and Jamie.
Well, Ben and Polly were the pickups, the carryovers. Yeah. But Ben and Polly left at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And then he picked up Jamie and...
He picked up Jamie, who traveled with Ben and Polly for a while. Then, when they lost Ben and Polly, they picked up Victoria.
And Victoria and Jamie had very good chemistry also. He always kind of acted... I mean, to him, she was like a lady. She was, you know...
Well, she was...
Victorian
woman.
But he acted...
Such clever naming there.
You know, but he acted that way towards her, too, you know? Mm-hmm. And then... Well, I always thought Ben and Polly were funny because there was always kind of that there, too. But Ben always would give her crap, you know? Like, he'd always just, you know... there was Victoria, and then there was Zoe.
There's, like, no doubt in my mind that Ben had a thing for Polly.
Oh, and I'm sure and you could tell Polly had it for him, too.
It was really
keep
clear
in mind,
from him. He was always like...
Yeah.
I think that's how he got into the whole thing, really. It's just... He liked Polly.
Oh, I mean, think about it this way. Back then, the companions didn't fall in love with the Doctor. The companions found each other. And while it was still the story of the companions to a point, it wasn't the big thing. It was, yeah, they helped find each other, helped find themselves, whatever, but...
Oh, I liked that there was never... You never thought, like, oh, the Doctor is going to end up with Victoria. Like, that did not exist, that possibility, and I liked that a little bit better.
I agree.
Than the constant...
I didn't mind it so much. I get chastised about this, too. I didn't mind it so much with Tennant and Rose. I think because it was done in an organic way from the first meeting between her and Eccleston on. Because even with her and Eccleston, there were things that you could tell she really kind of liked about him, but there was still that disconnect of romance that, like, it wasn't there. She just wasn't really attracted to him. She was attracted to what he represented and did, but not necessarily him. And then when he became David Tennant, then it, you know. Mm-hmm. So I didn't mind it so much because of how it was done. I didn't love that. I thought, again, 3 seasons, you know, a lot of great episodes. One of my favorites is The Mind Robber. I just think it's a great episode. And it's great because when Jamie gets... there's a scene where the actor that played Jamie got sick, and they replaced him with a guy named, I think, Robert Hamish or something, who didn't look like him, not much.
No.
But to explain why...
Was that like his cousin or something?
Yeah, there's some relation. They knew each other somehow. And back then, everybody did on the show, apparently. So what they did to explain why he looked different was he didn't have a face, and the Doctor had to create his face out of different eyes and pieces. And then he puts it together and goes, oh no, I put it together wrong! And here it's this other Jamie.
Fake Jamie.
So when the real Jamie was over the chicken pox, and they brought him back, he had to do the same thing, and it was Jamie again.
But that was like the best timing ever, because you couldn't
was
do
great.
that in just about any other story. But that
No,
story,
it was perfect.
It fits because everything's bizarre and made up.
Yeah, and it's actually a really good story, Joanna. That's one you probably should watch one day too.
The name?
The Mine Robber. It's very enjoyable. It's comedic to a point. It's enjoyable. I mean, there's some suspense in it. You almost could redo that and have the Master be the bad guy. I mean, you almost could. Like, I keep forgetting that the first episode with the Master was during Pertwee, because the bad guy in that really could have been him. I mean, it was that kind of an episode. It was very enjoyable, and so much of it Troughton just bumbles through, because that's, like you said, he didn't want people to think he was, as smart and cunning as he was, so he just played the, clown. And
Well, sometimes he was just, I always thought, impulsive. Like,
Oh,
he
yeah.
really did just jump into things and have no idea what he was going to do. But
kind of a characteristic of the Doctor, though, in general, isn't it?
I think
How many
he was a
episodes have you
little
seen
bit
where they're like,
more,
you have
though,
a plan, right? No.
I think he, though, was really like, he just had, like, okay, let's go. And then it's like, oh, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, he'd act like he had no idea what was, and then all of a sudden it's just like, but I think he knew that he was smart enough that he could figure something out once they...
I think in his head, he had the intention of just walking in saying, I am the Doctor, I am powerful, I'm from a powerful race, and you obey me, and we're walking out of here. And many, 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 many times, it never worked.
It'll never work.
It never worked. It worked for Pertwee before. It worked for Hartnell, too, in a couple. But, no, generally, I liked him. He'd say, like, just catchphrases you didn't hear. What was it? Oh, my giddy aunt. And he was the first one that did the when I say run, run. It started with him. So, yeah, he was enjoyable. Definitely
And
enjoyable.
it was his era that brought all the alien races that have come back.
Hartnell was almost like what Hartnell did for the show, almost what Eccleston did. He was good. He played the part just right, and he kept it going. And then when it switched over to, Troughton, it's when it got elevated. Just like with David Tennant. When David Tennant took over, everyone was skeptical, but the show really took off then. I mean, I think the screenwriters and stuff and the story writers finally got their feet wet and knew what they wanted to do. I think Davis had a more overall plan, saying, okay, we were successful. We're going to take it to the next level now because we know we can. And I think it was the same thing when Troughton took over. I think it was... Troughton also first appearance of the Brigadier, one of the most beloved Doctor Who characters. Also,
Yep. And
so
the
I think
Ice Warriors, Great Intelligence, all
yeah,
came
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah, and I
The
think
Macra.
and I think Tennant really brought the show to another level, as did Troughton, and Matt Smith and Amy and Rory, because I can't think of their real names right now. They elevated it to where they were like rock stars. I mean, like they wouldn't even just go to Doctor Who convention. They'd show up at Comic-Con in San Diego and like be cheered like they were the Who. I mean, and that's to me at the time kind of how Pertwee's was. Pertwee brought it to that next level again, where he brought in more audience because he, the original audience was still going to watch, even though he was more physical. But that physicality, because of the success of Bond movies and spy stuff and the Avengers and all, brought more audience in the same way that Matt Smith did, So, yeah, I mean, Troughton's era laid a lot of the groundwork for the entire lore of the show. A lot of credit should go to him, and it's sad that the majority of the lost episodes are his.
Mm-hmm.
It is sad because people need to see them.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was expensive. I mean, at the time, the tape was expensive, and, it was just... It was the early stages of TV. No one thought,
Yeah.
that someone was going to want to see it again.
I feel sorry, though, for the people who,
Erased it.
featured in, an episode and it's lost. So, they could be like, I was on Doctor Who, and then it's like, but it doesn't exist anymore.
No, you know what, though? Oddly enough, The episodes don't, but there's telesnaps from a lot of them. So you'll still be able to find out, who was in them. It's just no live footage.
Think as
it would still
actor,
suck.
You'd be very, especially now that the show.
It's sad. He was a lot of. I agree. I think Troughton was much more fun to watch than Hartnell. And Troughton made. He was very popular. I mean, he was in the 3 Doctors then. He was in the 5 Doctors. He was in the 2 Doctors. I mean, they brought him back. And the 2 Doctors was what? 15 years later?
Probably.
Right? Because say 73.
Maybe a little less.
Yeah, about 15 years. He still didn't. He still had it. He didn't look bad. I mean, he played that part still. I mean, he's definitely a doctor to watch, and a doctor that a lot of people loved.
And I mean, that's an example. Like, you looked at him, he looked a lot older than when he played the Doctor, but you could get past that. That's why I think McCoy could still totally pass.
Yeah, no, I agree. So,
because like by the time you see him, and like, especially in the 2 Doctors, you could tell he's quite a bit older than when he was playing the Doctor.
Well, it's funny because there's a whole line of thought that there was a missing season that was planned and not done because he's with Jamie in that again. So he had to be taken out of the time stream prior to the regeneration, or what some people think is that the missing section or whatever they were going to do and they didn't do before they wiped Jamie's memory. You owe us now. You're doing this and sending them on diplomatic missions or whatever. So, too bad the 2 Doctors is such a bizarre episode.
It was.
Did you see the 2 Doctors?
I thought I did.
You saw the 3 Doctors.
Yes.
The 2 Doctors is more bizarre. No, like seriously, it's like Colin Baker and like Patrick Troughton, and I don't think they even see each other until the end. It's weird. Like, if I was Colin Baker and they're like, "Hey, Patrick Troughton's going to be in this episode," oh, awesome! You don't get to see him or work with him at all. Oh, but there's some weird. There's like cannibals in it and some weird stuff. Like this one, like he's like a Scottish. He sounds Scottish, but he's some alien cook, and he's like, "I just like to eat the meat off these people." Like every planet he goes to, he eats the indigenous population. It's weird. I think Perry's in it too, right? Yeah, Perry's in that. And Jamie's in it.
Mm-hmm. It's on Tarrant, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm remembering the right one.
Yeah,
right?
it's on Tarrant. Well, we watched it a couple weeks ago when we did the last recording. When we lost episode 18. Episode 18's in E-Space still, okay? I don't think it's coming back from E-Space.
Adric knows the coordinate.
You think if I call Matthew Waterhouse up and be like, "Listen, I got a podcast episode I can't get out. I can't find on my hard drive. I think I need the E-Space coordinates. Do you remember them?" I think he's going to think I'm a nutter.
No.
I think he'd be like, "Oh, you remember me?" But I guess that's about it for our first 2 Doctors, right?
Yeah.
How many weeks do we have till the anniversary? Should we do a Pertwee rundown real quick? Because we record every 2 weeks generally, and I got a couple weddings coming up and stuff. I'm sure we could squeeze something in Sundays or something.
I think we've probably got time for.
How many weeks do we have? Because it's you mean do one now?
No, I was saying we could probably.
Well, because we have Pertwee and Baker,
another.
So that's going to be 2, and Baker's probably going to be a little longer because of how long he was on. Davison and Baker.
And then, like, McCoy and...
McGann.
Which there's not going to be a lot to say about McGann.
No, that's true. But then Eccleston, Tennant, and Smith.
Well, you could probably do...
Those 3 all together because Eccleston was only there for 1 season. See, that's what's different about our podcast listeners. We include you in our decision-making process. You're not just listeners, you're family. You're like actual crew members aboard this rickety old police box. And we want you to feel like that. We want you to feel like you're part of the process.
Yes.
So like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, even though none of us have kept up on it. We try. There's this thing called real life that really sucks.
Work is busy.
Well, we're going to try harder. We're going to try to try hard. We're going to put the effort in to try harder.
I don't even know our Twitter password or anything.
I emailed it to you. I'll email it to you.
I haven't.
Because I emailed both of you at the same time. Why would I email her and not you?
I don't have it.
I'll email you again. Do you even use Twitter?
I could use this Twitter.
If you could do that, that would be awesome. Because you find out stuff way ahead of when I have time to. So if you find something out, just shoot it out on Twitter. That'd be great. Yeah, I'll give you the info when we're off air.
Obviously.
Off air. Because we're on the
our listeners
suddenly
are
we're on the
family,
AM. Yeah,
but-
yeah. Sorry, listeners. We just don't want you to. We don't want everybody logged in as our Twitter.
password.
It's like on my gaming podcast. Oh, we should give out our Xbox names. Are you insane? No. Maybe make one up specifically for the show. But no. So anyways, that was episode 19 of Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS. And I'm going to try to get it up as soon as possible. We thank you for joining us, and we thank you for all your support. And it'd be great if when you visit the website, you just click on a banner ad or two so we can actually pay for hosting. That'd be really neat. Now, you don't actually have to buy anything from the website. Just click on it and close the window. I don't care. Just don't tell Google AdSense I told you that. Just click on it. Anyways, well, thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
Window shopping.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're going to definitely work on somehow, even if it's during the week, we need to get back on track here. And then we'll see some of you at Chicago TARDIS, I'm assuming.
Oh, then in October, there's the Order of the Blue Box photo shoot.
Yes, there is. The one problem is no one knows where it is yet.
I know.
Which is always the problem. Because I don't know if I can actually make it, and I need to kind of get all those details. And I have a real sonic screwdriver now.
I know. You can bring the baby and you could just sonic the baby.
She whispers, I know. Thanks, River. And that makes our listeners family. So anyways, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening.